gotta be up in a few hours, man. Whew. It's a wild night.
So how are we looking? Good?
Yeah, you're looking good. And I'm actually recording because this is gold.
Sweet. I know, right? Really, you should have been recording all night so far. This would be like your bestseller evening.
That's good. That's good.
If we had had the tripod, I would have just set it up at the end of the table and let it run.
Yeah, well, because the Australian lessons were great. Yeah, right?
We had a good time, mate.
That's right.
Fucking oath.
Right. Fucking oath. That's right.
Yeah, you know, they'll get bleeped out later.
It's okay.
Sorry, you can put like a there instead if you want.
Whoops.
Uh-oh.
You're gonna have to update your YouTube to an explicit.
Well, this would be.
I'm sorry, is this supposed to be a family-friendly channel? I will try to curb the F-bombs then.
We'll put this on behind the scenes.
I'm so terrible.
Hello, everybody. I'm Wild Chevy.
I'm Grim.
One of the parts of Gen Con is you'll go out and take classes from from industry professionals. There's
Like
some
myself.
There's some yokels in the classroom as well. You'll hear them in the background. I am joined by Meg Maples.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Hello, everybody. My name is Al, and this is Meg.
We will have a peanut gallery joining us. That is attempting to do an Australian accent.
Peanuts and I like galleries.
He might also segue into a Russian accent every once in a while, but it's okay.
We had a long day today. We went out for some drinks, and we're fortunate enough to have this little interview here.
That's right.
I did not have any vodka. I would have had vodka, but I had only Guinness.
Did the whole video.
I'm sorry.
So Meg, for those who don't know, who are you in the painting world?
So I used to paint for Privateer Press for about 2.5 years, and I left last August to go and teach internationally as well as all over the U.S. And I do 2-day classes that are intensive painting courses where you're taught painting techniques for the course of 16 hours, and I go over everything from priming miniatures and cleaning miniatures to how you would finish them with basing materials and super special techniques that the pros use in the industry.
What kind of techniques are unique to you, I should say?
So the main technique that I use is actually two-brush blending, which is the technique that's used by Privateer Press on most of their studio models. It's a very quick and efficient technique at getting clean and easy blends. And you don't have to spend as much time as you would if you were glazing the model, which is a typical technique that's taught throughout the industry.
Now, are you a wet palette person or a dry palette person?
I actually use both. So if I'm glazing, I'll use a wet palette because that's what it's designed for, is to get really thin layers of paint that you can then put on the base coat of the model, and you can modulate the shadows and the highlights. And then for two-brush blending, I use a dry palette just because it's easier to control the amount of moisture that's getting into the paint.
Okay. Now, what kind of paintbrushes do you use normally?
So I use really big paintbrushes compared to most people. I use, so the two main brushes that I use are a Winsor & Newton Series 7 size 2, not the miniature series. Wow, the peanut gallery is still noisy over there. And a Raphael 8404 size 3. And the size 2 is my application brush when I'm doing two-brush blending, as well as my detail brush. And the 8404 is my blending brush when I'm doing two-brush blending. Those are the two main brushes that I use. This is going to be the best Beasts of War episode ever.
Video bomb. Saw it here first.
Right.
This is what we got to deal with all night.
This is what happens when it's midnight at Gen Con.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, if you guys, I mean...
I'm sorry, I'm so sexy.
I mean...
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Shut your cake hole.
Okay.
We can
have a whole bloopers reel. It's gold. Gold. Anyway, yes. So brushes. Anyway, after
other
that question,
brushes,
yes.
Oh, that was too fast.
Are you a paintbrush licker?
Absolutely. I encourage paintbrush licking, and in fact, when I teach my classes, I make sure that it's very clear to everyone that they will have to lick their brush at some point in order to use the technique that I am teaching, and that there's no way of getting around it. But it's okay because I use non-toxic paint. The P3 paint is the main line that I use. It is fully non-toxic. It's absolutely fine unless you're drinking like, a couple pots a day. You should be good, pretty much. Yeah.
I only see that happening maybe if you switch your bottles around.
Yeah, the only paint line or the only kinds of paint lines that are really a concern for brush licking would be any that are non-toxic that still use cadmium or titanium in them. So anything that's like an artist tube acrylic, that would be a concern. Some of the Vallejo lines are also a little bit of a concern because they do use cadmium in some of their paints.
Now you do classes. Now do you just do them at events, or do you go all around?
I go all around. So I've taught at Adepticon, and then this is actually my first Gen Con that I'm teaching at. So this year is my first year teaching at conventions specifically. Otherwise, I've taught at game stores for the most part, where I just basically people say, hey, we would like you to come to our community and teach a class. And I say, all right, do you have 15 people? And they usually find 15 to 25 people for me. And then we just schedule something at a game store, and I fly out. I teach a 2-day class, and everyone enjoys themselves. I have gotten lots of rave reviews, and lots of people have said that they're very grateful for me to come out and teach a painting class for 2 days. So yeah, so I'm willing to do everything, go all over the place. I've been to Canada, New Zealand, Australia, all over the US. I'm doing a 4-month tour through the US through the end of the year. So, and then I'm going back to Australia for a third time to do some more Australian classes.
Now, for people like beginning, what advice would you give them?
Practice makes perfect. The more often that you can actually get to paint, so it's not necessarily about having one long painting session a week, that's like maybe a full day or a few hours here and there. It's really more about trying to paint regularly throughout the week. So if you can sacrifice an hour 3 to 4 nights out of the week, that's actually going to be better for you in the end than trying to do one long day on a weekend, because you're going to start building muscle memory. You're going to get more comfortable with using your paint, using your brushes, getting those advanced techniques down. So it's really just practice makes perfect, and knowing that if you make a mistake, you can paint over it. It's not the end of the world if you mess up a mini. There's really, truly no messing up a mini. You can always fix it.
Now, I know you're real active you have a blog and a Facebook page. Do people actually ask you for feedback?
Absolutely. I get messages all the time, either emails or messages on my Facebook, where people just send me photos and ask me for advice because they're entering a painting competition. Like, I've had a few people that have said that they're entering the P3 contest here at Gen Con, and they've sent me some works in progress photos, and I've given them feedback, knowing what it's like being a staff painter and also a judge at a P3 Grandmaster competition. And I just get people regularly throughout the year who just send me, things that they're like, hey, I'm really proud of this. I want to know what you think. And I give feedback that's honest, but also very positive and encouraging. I always try to find the things that somebody does well, and then give them the feedback on things that they need to work on. So that way it's, it's a nice balance.
Now, you said you judged. Like, what do you look for when you typically judge an event?
So if I judge a painting competition, I'm looking for somebody that has maybe gone outside of their comfort zone, tried something new. You can usually tell when somebody's experimented a little bit on a piece, and that's good because you know that they're trying to push themselves to be better, to try other techniques, maybe other styles of painting that they admire. I also look for people or for entries that have smooth blends, good color theory, good composition on the base if it's a display base of some sort. Basically, just I want to see that somebody's putting the effort in to trying and make a masterpiece and really push themselves personally, as opposed to the person who's just putting, just a dude on a base with some static grass and calling it good. Like, I mean, anybody can do a clean paint job, but it's another thing if you can do a really interesting clean paint job.
Okay. So what's next for you after Gen Con?
So after Gen Con, I kick off my 4-month tour of the U.S. I'm doing 2 classes in Kansas City, 1 in Chicago, 1 in Atlanta, and 1 in Baltimore. And then after that, I'm actually moving to Australia in December, assuming all immigration stuff goes well.
I mean, there's a lot of fine Australian painters out there. We've seen a lot of new lines coming out. Which companies are you looking forward to painting?
So one of the companies I'm looking forward to doing more work with is actually Twisted, which is by Sebastian Archer, who's an Australian painter and sculptor. Actually, he's more active in sculpting now than he is in painting. He produces some really great stuff, and he works with other really fantastic sculptors to just, I mean, the detail on his minis is just phenomenal. It's breathtaking. And as a painter, it's somewhat challenging because he does manage to get such fine, just exact, precise detail. So his Twisted line is actually kind of a modern steampunky setting. So I have one of the models that I've already painted, which is Medusa, which is kind of a clockwork Medusa figure. It's really interesting. Another one I have from him is Lancelot, which is kind of a like dueling gent with this like steampunky theme to him. So I'm looking forward to painting that one as well. But his stuff is always really interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of his stuff in the future.
Any other lines you're looking forward to?
Kingdom Death, of course, just because, like, I mean, you know, inappropriate stuff everywhere. Like, I mean, just, yeah, things that you probably have to bleep out that I can't say, if this is a family-friendly podcast. But, yeah, I love their stuff because it's always over the top, and it's there to have the shock value. Like, Adam Poots specifically does the boutique nightmare horror stuff on purpose, and I enjoy that.
I mean, the miniatures are they're sculpted really well.
They're fantastic, and they're so much fun to paint. Even the stuff that seems a little gross. I've painted a wet nurse. It was fantastic fun. I look forward to painting another one.
You painted a penis monster?
I did paint a penis monster.
Oh my God.
It's actually more a booby and vagina monster than it is a penis monster.
I like those.
It just has a giant penis tail.
Is this making it on?
It is making it on. Yeah, it's
Nobody
totally.
can hear me. I'm not that loud.
Just a little bit.
I'm sorry. Continue. Carry on. Ignore the drunk bastard.
Now, we've seen a lot of digital sculpting hitting the markets now. What do you think about that compared to the traditional stuff?
There's pros and cons to both styles of sculpting. I am not a sculptor myself, so I can only, give a very basic opinion based on my experience of working with a company like Privateer Press, where we had both traditional and digital sculptors. And I would say that I have a very hard time telling the difference between a digital sculpt and a traditional sculpt at any given time. Digital sculpting is where the industry is going, just because it is faster to execute the same work as a traditional sculptor. And I think the last person that I know of at Privateer Press who was an on-staff traditional sculptor with green stuff and Fimo, he actually just switched over to digital just because it is faster, it's more efficient in cranking those sculpts out. But there's plenty of sculpts in the Privateer line that are digital, and I mean, unless somebody told you, you wouldn't know. The Blighted Bather was digital. That's the Gen Con limited edition mini.
Hopefully I'll be able to pick up one tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I'm trying to get a couple myself. So I want to do a diorama with one. But anyway.
Yeah, I've got the Druid Gone Wilder sitting on my desk. And
sweet.
Getting ready to pick that up. Maybe Gen Con, Maples-ish.
Yeah, sure. With the nice green colors going in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sweet.
Now, like mini material. There's the white metal, resin, and plastic. Any preferences on those?
If I had a choice, I would say resin, most definitely, just because it gets really nice, crisp details in the casting. And very rarely are there issues with getting bubbles in the resin if it's a really high quality cast. Second to that would be doing white metal, so any of the pewter models that are out there. And that gets also really crisp casting details in it, but there are some limitations. If you're doing a really thick piece as a caster, then you have to worry about heat pitting, which is this whole technical process. And I was a caster for Reaper for a while, so I understand the process and what goes into it. I won't bore you guys with it. But there are basically some properties to casting that you have to worry about, like the temperature of the mold, the temperature of the metal, all that kind of stuff, how fast your spin caster is running, those sorts of things. So it is a little finicky. And then I would say third would be plastic. It depends on the plastic itself, though. I have a Kingdom Death plastic model, which is fantastic. It is better than some of the resin that I've ever gotten. I am absolutely pleased with the quality of the Kingdom Death plastics. It's been fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing more from the Kickstarter because I think everyone who pledged for the plastic Kickstarter minis is going to be really, really happy. But then on the other end of the spectrum, there is some rather mediocre plastics that, you know, they don't hold details well enough. Maybe it's a little spongy feeling.
More for gaming.
More for gaming, less for painting, yeah. And that's the thing, is understanding what the different materials are used for in the casting process and what the aim of the company is for using that material. So a lot of the times, companies that are using plastic are aimed more towards the gamers and less towards the painters. And that's okay.
Lastly, where can people find you on the internet?
So I can be found on Facebook at Arcane Paintworks. If you just go to Facebook and type that into the search, my fan page should come up. I'm also on arcanepaintworks.blogspot.com, and my email is scattered all over the place. If you Google Meg Maples, you will find me somehow, some way, and you can get in touch with me. And I'm absolutely open to communicating with people on a regular basis, and if you need advice on anything, just feel free to email me or message me on Facebook and let me know.
All right, guys, be sure to check out Meg Maples. She does some amazing work. Magneto from last year, awesome.
Thanks.
If you have a chance, if you have the opportunity, take one of her classes, or when you come out to Gen Con, be sure to take a class. It'll boost your comfort level. All right.
Absolutely.
I've been Wild Chevy. This has been
Meg Maples.
And see you guys later.
Bye.
All right, somebody go smack him. No, I'm serious.
Can I punch him in the nuts?
Please.
I've got no problems with that. I want some action shots.
You don't need those anymore, right?
I love them though.
Damn. Stop recording. Then start it again.
Goes in your eye. No.
And this is a behind-the-scenes look.
That's road rage.
Here's the peanut gallery.
Now turn. This is my smaller look.
So which one is the real Australian and which one's the bogan?
Blue steel.
Yeah, all right.
On the bike.
Oh, and there they are again. Wonderful. And this is a room. And this is Dano.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Or no.
And this is Scotty. He's grumpy.
2004, when I was dating a guy who was a lifelong D&D-er, and he was like ashamed to tell me that he played Dungeons and Dragons. Like he had to come out of his D&D closet to me.
We gotta have the talk.
No, seriously, it was exactly like that. I am not even joking. Like,
Did you stumble on a closet? What the hell?
No. So we had been dating for about a month, and he decided that we needed to have a talk. And he texted me while I'm in class, like in college, and I was like, okay, so we need to have a talk. Right. He's like, can you come over to my place after you get out of class? I was like, yeah. Sure.
You're crazy.
What is this about? Don't worry about it. We'll talk when you get here. And so, of course, since I was not familiar with the game at all, so Ron actually sent me down with like a makeup brush, like a blush brush, and said, I want you to dust all the minis in these cases. And I sat there for 2 days and I dusted every single miniature that Privateer Press had ever produced and had painted by a studio painter. And I had to learn the names.
Really?
That was my hazing.
See? I wasn't wrong. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so
that's not very nice.
You learn the names of models very quickly when you've had to sit there and stare at them and had somebody repeat the name to you several times. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. This is the Beast 09.
There's a lot of dust on that thing's tail.
This is a bone chicken. I mean, yeah, a bone chicken.
Awesome.
And there's no other name for those. It's just a bone chicken. Well, they look like chickens. They do. Undead Crixian chickens.
He's a Cricks guy.
Yeah.
Stray.
It's just, it's not a death jacket. It's a bone chicken.
Oh no, it's Stray, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
Oh my
So, yes.
gosh, dude, you guys are awesome.
I do know how to play the game, just not very well.
No, neither do I. I suck.
I learned.
It's true.
I learned how to play with.
Hey, I played Mark 1. Once it came Mark 2, it wasn't any fun.
See, I never was exposed to Mark 1 other than painting armies for Mark 1 for clients. That was my only exposure. And I had to kind of ask, like, okay, so these Signar guys, like, who are they in the world? And of course, I had one client who was Signar and one client who was Crix. Right? So the client who's Signar was like, oh, these are totally the good guys in the world. Like, these are the ones that are trying to, like, do all the good in the world. And the Crix guy was like, I'm a good guy, too. I'm totally not a bad guy, even though I'm undead and use skeletons. And I'm like,
Trying to eat all the dead people in the world.
okay. And then I had a client who had a protectorate army. And I'm like, so what's the story with your army? And he's like, we just light everything on fire. And I was like, that's all I need to know about protectorate.
Yep.
They're like,
Protectorate for life.
yeah, cleansing fire. That's about it. That's all you need to know. So, yeah.
All right.
Same, difference.